Hi, welcome to cloudblocks.com. Today let us see how we can upload data into Apex table using a CSV or XLS file. Uh, this looks quite simple, but let us see how we actually get this to be implemented. I presume that you know basics of Apex, that in terms of SQL workshop and object browser. Uh, the scope of this video is just to show how you can upload file using this. So I have created a nominations detail, a small table, and this has got four fields. One is ID, that is a primary key, which is nothing but a sequence, and there is another column, nominee name, nominator name, category name. So this looks pretty straightforward and pretty simple table. And the corresponding SQL, I'll be sharing all the SQLs used in this session. So I'm just making a note of all this. So this is the query that we'll be using. Create table nomination detail, ID number, uh, start by just use a sequence, and that's it. This query would create the table. So basically, there are two things that we want to achieve here. Upload the data using either CSV file or with XLS file. The easiest thing to do here is you go to data and click on load data choose the file that you want, select the CSV or the XLS file, and you click on upload. That will get done. Let me show this. For example, if I select a CSV file, you see the records in here, and all I need to do is click on load data, and this is going to submit the table with the two records. But however, that's the problem here is I need to give someone access to the SQL workshops object browser, and the problem here is they would get access to all other table and they can go and manipulate. So the scope of this video is we want to have a front-end UI where the user logs in and comes here, and then the user would use the file browse option to upload the video, to upload the CSV or XLS file. Now, how do we go about doing this? First thing is we need to have the two files. I have created two sample files. One is a CSV file. This is the column name of the table, nominee name, nominator name, category name, name of the people that I want to add in. Say you can have anything like we'll just take some example. Click save. So the goal is to save this CSV into the table. I can just click on browse and select the CSV and click upload, and that should go and write in the table. But having said that, it would not work right now because we need to do some work around it. If you go to your application definition and look for shared components and go to data load definition, this is very important. We need to create a definition where we could upload a CSV or XLS file. So let us start by creating the definitions. Click on create from scratch. The name I can give is load CSV nominations. Just make a note on this of this name. We would need that later on. The table, you'd select the target table, in this case nomination details. Click next. So Apex needs to know the sample format of data. So you click on choose file, and we already have a sample, the nomination detail. Like this is the sample one. So let me browse this, get this nomination underscore details.csv. Click next. So this says like the 3 columns have been selected. It's mapped to a database table, and the comma, it is separated by a comma separated value, and none of them are primary keys. So create data load. This would help us to upload a CSV file. We need one more. In fact, like you can also have JSON type or XML type as well, but we will show this example for CSV and XLS. Let me show my XLS file. There is some data, and let me have something proper. Okay, so click on create from scratch. This time you give the name as load XLSX nominations. We'll set the table name. Click next. This time you choose the XLSX file. One thing you need to note in XLSX file is the first column. The first column is always maps to the column in the database table. So this is very important to remember while creating XLX file. Whereas in CSV you need not worry about even in CSV you need to have the first line to be the column name. So it is important for both these things to be same. Okay, so now later we have just put that XLSX file and click on next. And these 3 columns have been selected. Click on create and create data load. Fine, we have two data load definitions right now, and in the code I will come to the details of this code. Let me show how this works, and then I will go through what exactly happens in the code. We go to under processing, processes, load data. We need to give the name. One is of for CSV type and another for XLSX type. So let me select the names that we have got here. This is the other one. In fact, I could even have one for XML and JSON. I'm just, for the sake of simplicity, I'm just commenting that part. You could create two more definitions, one for XML and one for JSON. Click OK. I will come back to this code a little bit later in detail. I just want to show like how this works before I go into the details of code. Okay, so let us take the CSV file now. Okay, click on load data. You see the John and Jane, it is now in the database table. If you want to validate that, you could go to object browser and look at the data. The John and Jane, the one that we just put, is here. Similarly, we can also have an Excel file. We could just clear this. Click on clear. This would clear the memory, and you choose the XLSX file. Okay, and click on load data. Load data. You have this three records as well entered. So what you are viewing right now is a view from database table, and you can also cross validate here. These three rows have come from XLX file, and these two rows have come from CSV file. This was already there, and the same view you are viewing it here as well. And you could in fact go and delete them if you want to. For example, if you want to delete a row, you can save that, and if you want to clear this, you can clear this. These records are still there. Now, having said that, this whole thing, how do we actually build this? That's important. This all starts with file browse. Okay, and the storage type, you select table apex application temp files, and that's it. This is where you will upload the file. And second, we need two buttons. One is to load data, another is to clear the data. So we will not have any actions here, but it will be taken care by the process. We'll come to that. So we have two buttons, load and clear. And in another region, there are quite a few which might not really be required, like the row count, the error row count, the process row count, file name, file type, file name, and the list of worksheets and all. So you can just ignore them. Preview is important. Preview lets you see what you have uploaded. So how do we go about the preview? Let me get to this code in my editor. select p dot line number and the column Excel column names, column 01, 02 and 03, the one that you see in columns, and then you use apex underscore data underscore parser dot parse, and the rest of the stuff is you basically find out whether the what is the file type, and you submit this one. This is the preview. And how do we actually get the file type? Okay, before we go there, this preview is only shown once this file is actually not empty. So to handle that, we have a case where item is not null for p3 underscore file. So that means to say you cannot have a blank preview. So you just need to upload something and click on say load data. Only then preview will be available. Okay, so this is taken care by the condition, server side condition, item is not null. And how are we getting this data in grid? This is actually coming from interactive grid component and directly coming from nomination underscore details table. This is quite straightforward. We can just ignore this one. But the most important thing is, let us see what happens with clear. This button as such, it doesn't do anything, but then if you see the clear cache process, this is executed on when clear button is pressed, and all it does is when the request is equal to clear, it just cleans it up. You see, clear session state or clear cache. Here you can select this one. So this is the easiest thing of clearing. And loading data is something which is a bit important. Load data. Here this is executed when you select load button. Okay, and the PSQL for this is, let me copy this. I'm just removing what we don't need here. Okay, this is the basic stuff that does the loading job. Declare file type is equal to blob, and then result apex underscore data underscore loading, give t underscore this one, and select blob content into L file from apex application temp files, where name is equal to the file name that we took through the file browse item, and then if the file type is CSV, then you load CSV through data definition, or if the file name is XLSX, then you load XLSX through nomination. So this is important, the apex underscore data underscore node parser and CSV type or XLSX type. So these are all inbuilt functions. You need not write any additional code for these things. Okay. So having said that, that solves this loading and clear data. File type. How are we getting file type here? And file type, how do we get this? It's a computational field. It's a hidden thing. There is a item p underscore file type that is actually hidden with a computation p3 underscore file type. And if you look at the PLSQL expression for this, apex underscore data parser, the same parser that we had here, get file type, you pass the file name, that is p3. So this is how you get file type. So had I not made this hidden, what would have happened? Display only, say a file type, it just shows type 1 or 2 depending on what we put here. And file name, here also you can make it display only. In fact, it's these are not really that important, but it's good to know or good to have file name. And here also you have a computation field p3 underscore file name, and even here you have this script. Select file name from Apex application temp file table, where name is equal to the one that we just selected through the file browse option. So you get file name. So if I say run it again, it shows that it is showing XLSX file. If I say select CSV file, and say load data, it shows file type 2 and the CSV thing. And there is no validation as such, so it is just going to insert the data, but then you can add more backend validations. So this is what I wanted to show. The most important thing here is data load definition. We have to have for CSV, XLSX, and for JSON you can have one, for XML you can have. And the most important thing is the load data functionality. And the load data functionality basically calls apex underscore data underscore load and data apex underscore data underscore loading dot load data, and this calls the data definition. So this is most important. Once you do that, the remaining things are very simple to basically load this file. Let us now slightly extend the scope of this application to even accept XML as well as JSON file format. So to summarize back, we just saw that we could upload XLS and CSV. Now we will create two other formats. Okay, let me start with the namings of what we need. Load XML nominations, load JSON nominations. Okay, so we need to create data load definitions for these two. Copy this, create from scratch. The table that we need is nomination details. Let us select that nominations.xml. I just want to show you how the XML file looks here. It's a row. Under row set you have row, and each row has, this is the column name, and this is also another column name and another column name, 3 columns along with the data. So each row is represented as an XML element. So now we just have this format. Now back to this one, create data load, choose nomination.xml, click next. So this is automatically mapped. Create data load. Similarly, let us create one more. We want to give a JSON file, and let us look at the JSON file here. This all comes under items. You can check JSON whether it's proper or not through online. Just validate the structure. So it is valid JSON. Now coming back to our DDL, we have uploaded the nominations.json and click next. This maps the column. Create data load. Now going back to our code, we will uncomment what we had commented earlier. For type XML, we want this one. And for JSON, we want this one. Click OK. Now if all goes well, we should be able to upload those two type of files as well. So let us clear this. Choose file. Start with XML. Load data. Wow, we have Rohan Kanai batting that was there in that XML in here. And Dennis Lilly as well. Okay. Similarly, we would select JSON file and load data. Did that add? Kapil Dev and David Boone. Kapil Dev and David Boone, it has added. So basically, the preview, I need to verify why it is not showing everything. But in terms of data, it has definitely added. So what we saw, we could upload data as either JSON format or XML format or XLSX format or CSV format, and they all go and write into nomination details table. So that's what we wanted to achieve. Thanks for watching, and this is a very useful thing to know, because data upload is a major thing. Thank you and take care.